Because when you become serious about your future, you stop relating to people who are serious about comfort. That's part of the process. Now hear me. Stop chasing motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Discipline keeps moving when emotions disappear. Discipline wakes up tired and still executes. Discipline gets rejected and still stays focused. Discipline feels pain and still keeps building. That is power. Not talking about goals, working for them when nobody is watching. Now understand something deeply. Every distraction has a hidden price. Every wasted hour costs confidence. Every broken promise to yourself damages identity. Every delay weakens momentum. And momentum is everything. Because once momentum dies, most men fall back into weakness. That is why you must protect your routines like your future depends on them. Because it does. Your morning routine, your focus, your habits, your environment, all of it is shaping the man you are becoming. Now listen carefully. You do not need to become perfect overnight. You just need to stop betraying yourself daily. That's where transformation starts. Keeping your word to yourself. When you say wake up early, do it. When you say train, train. When you say focus, focus, focus. Because every time you keep your word to yourself, you rebuild self-respect. And self-respect changes a man completely. A man with self-respect stops tolerating weakness. He stops accepting laziness. He stops entertaining distractions. He stops lowering his standards for temporary comfort. Because he finally understands his future is too expensive to keep wasting time. Now hear this carefully. The disciplined version, the focused version, the mentally strong version, but he is buried underneath habits that no longer serve you. So remove them. Remove the excuses. Remove the noise. Remove the emotional dependence. Remove the behaviors that keep making you weak. And replace them with structure. Creates freedom, not chaos. Chaos destroys men slowly. Structure builds men daily. Now look at your life honestly. What needs to change? Not tomorrow, today. Because life rewards action, not intention. And the moment you stop waiting to feel ready, you become powerful. Because now you understand the truth. You don't become strong by talking about strength. You become strong by surviving the moments that were designed to break you. You know what destroys most men. Not failure, not pain, not even rejection. It's comfort. Comfort destroys more dreams than failure ever will. Because failure hurts you once. Comfort slowly kills you every day. It makes you settle. It makes you lazy. It makes you emotionally weak. And the worst part, comfort feels safe. That's why so many men stay trapped in average lives. Because average feels comfortable. Waking up late feels comfortable. Making excuses feels comfortable. Avoiding responsibility feels comfortable. But let me tell you something. Everything you want in life exists on the other side of discomfort. Strength, discomfort, discipline, discomfort, growth, discomfort, transformation, discomfort. There is no shortcut around it. Now hear me carefully. Every successful man you admire learned one thing: how to suffer with purpose. Because suffering without purpose breaks a man. But suffering for growth, that builds him, that sharpens him. That creates mental toughness. Now ask yourself honestly, what are you suffering for right now? Temporary pleasure, validation, distraction, or a future that actually matters? Because either way, you are going to suffer. The lazy man suffers regret. The disciplined man suffers growth. Choose your pain. Now listen, the reason most men never change is because they keep waiting for life to force them. They wait until heartbreak. They wait until failure. They wait until everything collapses. Only then do they finally wake up. But strong men wake up before destruction arrives. They recognize weakness early, and they attack it immediately. That is wisdom. Now hear this deeply. You cannot heal in the same environment that keeps feeding your weakness. Impossible. If your habits are toxic, change them. If your environment destroys focus, leave it. If your routine creates laziness, rebuild it. Because your environment is either feeding discipline or feeding distraction. There is no middle ground. Now understand something powerful. The human mind adapts to repetition. Repeat weakness long enough, and weakness becomes identity. Repeat discipline long enough, and discipline becomes automatic. That is why your daily habits matter more than your temporary emotions. Feelings come and go. Identity stays. Now listen carefully. You keep saying, one day I'll become focused. No. Focus is not something that magically arrives. Focus is trained, built, protected every single day. Through sacrifice, through boundaries, through self-control. And self-control is rare because most people are slaves to impulses. If they feel tired, they quit. If they feel emotional, they stop. If they feel uncomfortable, they run. That is not strength. Strength is staying committed after emotions disappear. That is what creates greatness. Now hear me carefully. Your future self is begging you to become disciplined, begging you to stop wasting time, begging you to stop destroying your potential with excuses, begging you to finally become serious about your life. Because deep down, you know you were meant for more. You feel it. That uncomfortable feeling inside you, that frustration, that restlessness, that is your potential fighting against your current habits. And until your habits match your potential, you will always feel internally conflicted. Now listen, discipline is not punishment. Discipline is self-respect in action. It is proof that your future matters to you. Every early morning says, my future matters. Every workout says, my future matters. Every focused hour says, my future matters. That is how powerful men think. They stop asking, what feels easy, and start asking, what builds me? That one shift changes everything. Now hear this carefully. You are not behind because life hates you. You are behind because distraction has been stealing your focus. But the good news, focus can be rebuilt. Momentum can return. Discipline can be trained. Identity can change. The question is, are you finally ready to stop playing games with your future? Because life does not wait for confused people. Time keeps moving, and every year you delay growth, the harder regret becomes. So stop wasting energy trying to look successful. Become successful, silently, patiently, relentlessly. No announcements, no excuses, no emotional speeches, just work. Daily work, consistent work, focused work. Because eventually discipline starts producing results. And when results arrive, confidence follows naturally. Real confidence. Not fake confidence from validation. Confidence built through repetition. Confidence built through sacrifice. Confidence built through keeping promises to yourself. That kind of confidence cannot be taken away. Now listen to me one last time. You are capable of becoming dangerous. Not dangerous to people. Dangerous to weakness. Dangerous to excuses. Dangerous to every habit that once controlled your life. But first, you must make a decision. No more comfort over growth. No more emotions over discipline. No more distractions over purpose. From this moment forward, you build. Listen to me carefully. Because this right here, this is where most people quit. Not at the beginning. Not when not when emotions are intense. The strongest thing you can do is keep your word to yourself. That sounds simple, but it changes everything. When you say, I will wake up early, do it. When you say, I will train today, do it. When you say, I will stop wasting time, do it. Because every promise you break to yourself damages trust internally, and eventually you stop believing in yourself completely. That is why self-respect disappears. Not because people doubt you, because you doubt yourself, and you doubt yourself because your actions keep contradicting your goals. Now listen. Confidence is not built through positive thinking. Confidence is built through evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that you can stay disciplined. Evidence that you can execute under pressure. That is real confidence. Now hear me carefully. Wait. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of discipline. A calmer version. A stronger version. A focused version. A dangerous version. But he cannot exist while you continue feeding your old habits. So something must change. Not eventually. Now. Now listen closely. The reason distractions feel powerful is because your purpose has become weak. The man with a strong mission is difficult to distract because he understands the cost of losing focus. He understands that every wasted hour delays his future, so he protects his attention aggressively. Now understand this deeply. Attention is life. Whatever owns your attention owns your future. That is why weak habits are so dangerous. They look harmless. One extra hour scrolling, one lazy morning, one distracted evening, but repeated long enough, small habits create massive destruction. Why? Now hear this carefully. Your life is not shaped by what you do occasionally. It is shaped by what you repeat daily. Daily excuses create failure. Daily discipline creates greatness. Simple. Now listen, most men think transformation is dramatic. It's not. Transformation is silent. It happens when you wake up early instead of sleeping in. It happens when you train instead of making excuses. It happens when you stay focused while everybody else wastes time. Small choices, repeated consistently. That is how identity changes. Now hear me. Stop looking for one giant moment that changes your life. Life changes through repeated small decisions, one disciplined choice at a time. Now understand something powerful. You do not need to feel powerful to act powerful. That is where most people get stuck. They wait for confidence before action. Wrong. Action creates confidence. Movement creates clarity. Discipline creates identity. You move first. The feelings follow later. Now listen carefully. Your future requires sacrifice from your present self. There is no way around that. You must sacrifice comfort for growth. You must sacrifice distraction for focus. You must sacrifice temporary pleasure for long-term power. That is the exchange, and every successful person accepted that exchange early. Now hear me deeply. There are people less talented than you winning right now. Not because they are smarter, because they are more disciplined, because they stay consistent longer, because they execute while others overthink. That is why discipline beats talent repeatedly. Now listen, stop underestimating the power of consistency. A focused hour every day changes a life. A disciplined morning every day changes identity. A controlled mind every day changes destiny. That is how greatness is built. Quietly, patiently, repeatedly. Now hear this carefully. You are not weak because you struggle. You become weak when you surrender to the struggle. Pain is normal. Discomfort is normal. Pressure is normal. But quitting, that is a decision. And too many people make that decision too early. Now listen, there will be seasons where nobody understands your growth. Nobody sees your effort. Nobody notices your sacrifice. Nobody applauds your discipline. Keep going anyway, because real growth is private before it becomes public. The roots grow underground before the tree becomes visible. Remember that. Now hear me carefully. Protect your energy. Not everybody deserves access to your attention. Not everybody deserves access to your focus. Some people drain ambition. Some environments destroy discipline. Some habits quietly kill momentum. So become selective. Selective with your time. Selective with your relationships. Selective with your habits. Because your future depends on what you repeatedly allow into your life. Now understand this deeply. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your routines. Not luck, not motivation. Routine. That is why disciplined people appear calm under pressure. Because structure creates stability. Now listen carefully. You cannot build a strong life with weak systems. You need systems for your mornings, systems for your focus, systems for your health, systems for your mindset, because systems protect you when emotions become unstable. Now hear this. Emotions are temporary visitors. Do not let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. One emotional moment can destroy years of progress. That is why self-control matters. Not because emotions are bad, but because uncontrolled emotions are dangerous. Now listen. Every great man learns how to delay gratification. He learns how to sacrifice today for tomorrow. Weak people need immediate pleasure. Strong people build long-term vision. That is the difference. Now hear me carefully. Most people are addicted to comfort because comfort removes responsibility. Growth demands responsibility. Growth demands sacrifice. Growth demands discipline. And most people avoid discipline because discipline exposes truth. Truth about your habits. Truth about your excuses. Truth about your wasted potential. But once you stop running from truth, you become unstoppable. Because now you can finally rebuild honestly. Now listen closely. You do not need a perfect plan. You need relentless execution. Too many people spend years planning lives they never build. Meanwhile, disciplined people move, even imperfectly, because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates belief. Now hear this deeply. You were not born to live distracted. You were not born to waste your life chasing temporary comfort. You were born to build something meaningful, but meaningful lives require meaningful sacrifice. Now listen carefully. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Comparison destroys focus. Your only responsibility is to become better than the person you were yesterday. That is enough. One step better, one habit stronger, one distraction removed. Daily improvement compounds over time. Now hear me. There are two pains in life, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. One builds you, the other destroys you. Choose wisely. Now understand something powerful. Your mind listens to your actions more than your words. If you constantly quit, your mind learns weakness. If you constantly execute, your mind learns discipline. That is why action matters more than intention. Now listen carefully. There will be moments where nobody saves you, nobody motivates you, nobody encourages you, nobody pushes you. In those moments, you discover who you really are. And those moments matter most because character is not built when life feels easy. Character is revealed when life becomes difficult. Now hear this deeply. The strongest people are not emotionless. They simply learned how to lead themselves through emotions. That is mastery. Now listen. Your habits are either building your future or destroying it. Every single day, there is no neutral. So ask yourself honestly, what are your habits creating right now? A stronger future or a weaker identity? Because eventually, moments where discipline feels boring, those moments determine everything. Now listen carefully. You must become addicted to progress, not comfort. Comfort weakens hunger. Progress strengthens identity. That is why disciplined people feel alive when they are improving. Growth feeds them. Purpose drives them. Execution fulfills them. But weak habits create guilt, and guilt slowly destroys confidence. Now hear this deeply. You cannot keep consuming inspiration without producing action. Eventually, motivation without execution becomes self-deception. You watch videos, you make plans, you dream big, but if your actions never change, your life never changes. Now listen carefully. The world is full of people who talk about success. Very few are willing to live the lifestyle success requires. Because success is lonely sometimes. Success requires sacrifice. Success requires discipline on days where emotions disappear. That is why few people reach greatness. Now hear me. You do not become powerful accidentally. You build power intentionally, through habits, through structure, through focus, through repetition, day after day. Now understand something deeply. Your environment matters more than you realize. If you surround yourself with distractions, your mind becomes distracted. If you surround yourself with weakness, your standards become weak. But if you surround yourself with discipline, your identity begins to rise. That is why powerful people protect their environment carefully. They understand that attention is precious. Now listen carefully. Stop giving your energy to things that produce nothing. Pointless drama, pointless arguments, pointless distractions, pointless overthinking. None of it builds your future. And if it does not build your future, it is stealing from it. Now hear this carefully. Your attention is a currency. Spend it wisely. Every moment spent focused compounds. Every moment spent distracted disappears forever. And time is the one thing you never get back. Now listen, 1 year of true discipline can completely transform your life. 1 year of focused mornings, focused habits, focused thinking, focused execution. Your entire identity can change. But most people never experience transformation because they quit too early. They expect immediate results, and when results take time, they lose faith. Listen carefully. The process works, but only if you stay consistent long enough. That is the hard part, not starting, continuing. Now hear me deeply. You must learn how to operate without applause, without validation, without recognition, without immediate rewards. Because mature discipline understands something powerful. The seed grows underground before anybody sees the tree. Remember that. Now listen carefully. Do not underestimate small improvements. Small improvements repeated daily create massive transformation. Reading 10 pages every day matters. Training consistently matters. Protecting your mornings matters. Controlling your focus matters. Small habits become massive outcomes over time. That is how identity changes, quietly. Now hear this carefully. Weak people chase dopamine. Strong people chase purpose. Weak people need constant entertainment. Strong people can sit in silence and still remain focused. That is emotional maturity. Now, listen. The reason most people cannot focus anymore is because their mind has been trained for distraction, constant scrolling, constant stimulation, constant noise. Their brain no longer knows how to stay still. And a distracted mind can never build a disciplined life. So retrain yourself. Slow down. Sit in silence sometimes. Think clearly. Protect your attention, because focus is becoming rare, and rare skills create powerful people. Now hear this deeply. The greatest investment you can make is in yourself, not temporary pleasure. Yourself, your mind, your health, your discipline, your knowledge, your focus. Because once you become valuable internally, your external life changes naturally. Now listen carefully. There are people watching you. Maybe your family, maybe your future children, maybe younger people around. And whether you realize it or not, your habits are becoming an example. So ask yourself honestly, what example are you setting right now? Excuses or discipline? Weakness or self-control? Because leadership begins with self-leadership. If you cannot lead yourself, you cannot lead anything else. Now hear me carefully. You must stop romanticizing struggle while avoiding discipline. A lot of people love talking about pain. Very few love building solutions. You do not heal your life through complaining. You heal your life through action. Now listen closely. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. Belief creates confidence, creates bigger action. That is how transformation grows, step by step. Now hear this deeply. Do not fear hard work. Fear wasted potential. Fear reaching old age, realizing you never became who you could have been. That fear should wake you up, because regret is heavy, and many people carry it forever. Now listen carefully. Every disciplined action is a vote for your future self. Every workout, every focused hour, every controlled decision. You are casting votes for the person you are becoming, so vote wisely. Now hear me. Your mind is always watching what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly quit, your mind learns weakness. If you repeatedly execute, your mind learns strength. That is why discipline must become daily, not occasional. Daily. Now listen carefully. The goal is not perfection. The goal is alignment. Alignment between your goals and your actions, because when your actions match your vision, life begins changing rapidly. Now hear this deeply. There are moments in life where nobody can help you. Nobody can wake up for you. Nobody can train for you. Nobody can focus for you. Nobody can build your future for you. That responsibility belongs to you alone. And once you accept that fully, you become dangerous. Now listen carefully. Stop searching for an easier path. Easy paths create weak people. Pressure creates strong people. Responsibility creates mature people. Discipline creates powerful people. That is the process. Now hear me deeply. You are closer to transformation than you think. Not because life suddenly changed, but because your awareness is changing. You are beginning to see the truth. You are beginning to recognize distraction. You are beginning to understand the cost of wasted time, and awareness is the beginning of power. Now listen carefully. You must protect your mornings aggressively. How you start the day shapes the day. Wake up with intention, not chaos. Do not begin your mornings consuming noise. Begin creating momentum, movement, focus, prayer, training, learning. Build yourself before the world accesses your attention. That changes everything. Now hear this deeply. There is no perfect moment coming. No magical day where discipline suddenly becomes easy. You build it through repetition. One hard decision at a time. Now listen carefully. Every discipline choice strengthens identity. Every weak choice weakens identity. So when the moment comes, choose growth. Choose focus. Choose discipline. Even when emotions resist, especially when emotions resist. because that is where transformation happens. Now hear me carefully. You are not trying to become emotionless. You are trying to become emotionally controlled. There is a difference. Weak people are ruled by feelings. Strong people acknowledge feelings, but still execute. That is mastery. Now listen closely. Your future self is built in silence, in mornings nobody sees, in sacrifices nobody applauds, in consistency nobody celebrates. Few people raise their standards enough to achieve them. Now listen closely. A man's life changes when he stops tolerating his own excuses. That is the beginning of self-respect, not motivation. Self-respect. Now hear me carefully. You cannot hate yourself into greatness. You build greatness through responsibility, through discipline, through consistency, through controlled action. That is how powerful lives are created. Now listen. Most people spend years trying to feel better. Wrong focus. The goal is not temporary emotional comfort. The goal is becoming stronger. Andoki. Because strong people can survive difficult seasons without collapsing. That is the real advantage. Now hear this deeply. Life becomes easier when you become stronger internally, not when circumstances become perfect. Perfect circumstances do not exist. There will always be pressure. Always uncertainty, always discomfort. So stop waiting for life to calm down before you become disciplined. Become disciplined in the chaos. That is real strength. Now listen carefully. You are not weak because life challenged you. You become weak when you stop responding with discipline. With discipline. Pressure is not the enemy. Lack of control is the enemy. Now hear me. Every emotional reaction costs energy. Overthinking costs energy. Complaining costs energy. Drama costs energy. And too many people are exhausting themselves emotionally instead of building themselves strategically. Now listen closely. Protect your mental energy. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every person deserves your attention. Not every thought deserves your belief. Mature people learn emotional control. That is why they stay calm under pressure. Now hear this deeply. Peace is not something you find. Peace is something you build through discipline. A disciplined life creates clarity. A disciplined mind creates stability. A disciplined routine creates confidence. That is why disciplined people move differently. They trust themselves. Now listen carefully. Self-trust is priceless, and it is built one action at a time. Every time you keep your word to yourself, self-trust grows. Every time you stay focused despite distractions, self-trust grows. Every time you continue despite discomfort, self-trust grows. That is how confidence is created internally. Now hear me carefully. Stop looking for external validation. Validation is temporary, self-respect lasts longer, and self-respect is earned privately. In mornings nobody sees, in sacrifices nobody applauds, in moments where quitting feels easy, but you continue anyway. Now listen closely. That is why discipline feels lonely sometimes, because very few people truly understand commitment. Most people understand excitement. Very few understand consistency. Now hear this deeply. Your future depends on what you repeatedly do after motivation disappears. That is the test. Not how excited you feel at the beginning, how committed you stay during the middle. Because the middle is boring sometimes. The middle is repetitive. The middle requires patience, and patience is rare. Now listen carefully. Everybody wants quick success, quick money, quick transformation, quick results. But quick success often creates weak character. Slow growth builds strong foundations. That is why patience matters. Now hear me deeply. Do not rush the process. Master the process. Because once you master discipline, results become inevitable. Now listen closely. You must stop emotionally reacting to temporary setbacks. One bad day is not failure. One mistake is not destruction. One difficult season does not define your future. What matters is whether you continue. That is the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. Continuation. Now hear this carefully. Weak people stop when emotions become uncomfortable. Strong people continue despite emotional discomfort. That is mental toughness. And mental toughness is built through repetition, not speeches. Repetition. Now listen deeply. You need routines that protect your future. Morning routines, training routines, focus routines, Learning routines because structure creates consistency, and consistency creates transformation. Now hear me carefully. A man without structure becomes controlled by impulse, and impulses are dangerous. Impulses destroy focus. Impulses destroy discipline. Impulses destroy long-term vision. That is why self-control matters. Now listen closely. Your future self is depending on your current discipline. Read that again internally. Your future self is depending on the actions you take today, not tomorrow, today. That means today matters. This hour matters. This decision matters. Now hear this deeply. Too many people waste their best years chasing distractions. Distractions that provide temporary pleasure, but permanent regret, and regret is heavy. Because deep down, people know when they are wasting potential. Now listen carefully. You do not need to become obsessed with perfection. You need to become obsessed with progress. Daily progress. Small progress still matters. A focused hour matters. A disciplined morning matters. A controlled decision matters. Little improvements compound over time. Now hear me deeply. Most people underestimate the power of momentum. Momentum changes identity. Once you build momentum, discipline becomes easier. Confidence becomes natural. Focus becomes stronger. That is why starting matters. Start before you feel ready. Now listen carefully. The world belongs to people who execute consistently. Not the most talented, not the loudest, the most consistent. Now hear this deeply. There are people watching opportunities pass them every year because fear keeps controlling their decisions. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort, and fear quietly destroys potential. Now listen carefully. Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. That is what powerful people understand. Now hear me. Everything meaningful in life requires discomfort. Everything. Strong relationships require effort. Strong bodies require discipline. Strong minds require pressure. Strong futures require sacrifice. Stop trying to escape discomfort. Learn how to grow through it. Now listen closely. Your environment influences your behavior more than you realize. If your environment encourages weakness, your standards will drop. That is why disciplined people protect their environment carefully. They protect what they watch, what they consume, who they spend time around, because influence matters. Now hear this deeply. You cannot keep feeding your mind garbage and expect clarity. Your mind becomes what you repeatedly consume. That includes information. That includes conversations. That includes entertainment. So feed your mind intentionally. Now listen carefully. Focus is becoming rare in this generation. Everybody is distracted. Constant stimulation, constant scrolling, fun, constant emotional chaos. And because focus is rare, focused people become extremely powerful. Now hear me deeply. Learn how to sit with your thoughts. Learn how to work without distraction. Learn how to stay consistent without constant motivation. That skill alone will separate you from most people. Now listen closely. You are not behind because you started late. You are behind if you continue wasting time after becoming aware. Awareness creates responsibility. And now you are aware of your habits, aware of your distractions, aware of your potential. So now responsibility begins. Now hear this carefully. Excuses lose power once awareness grows, because now you know better, and knowing better means acting differently. Now listen deeply. There is another level waiting for you, a level of peace, a level of discipline, a level of focus, a level of emotional control. But that level requires sacrifice from your current self. That is the price. Now hear me carefully. The hardest part of growth is consistency without immediate rewards, working while results are invisible, training while transformation feels slow, staying disciplined while life feels unfair. That is the real test, and that test builds champions. Now listen closely. You must stop measuring progress emotionally. Some days you will feel strong, some days you will feel exhausted. Continue anyway, because discipline is bigger than emotion. Now hear this deeply. You are building a life, not a mood. Moods change constantly. Lives are built through systems, through standards, through routines. Now listen carefully. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen identity. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you strengthen identity. Every time you choose growth over excuses, you strengthen identity. That is how transformation becomes permanent. Now hear me. The goal is not temporary motivation. The goal is becoming the type of person who naturally executes, naturally focuses, naturally stays disciplined. That is identity work. Now listen closely. Stop waiting for life to inspire you. Inspiration fades. Structure survives. Build structure. Daily structure that will carry you through difficult seasons. Now hear this deeply. There will always be another distraction, another excuse, another comfort, another reason to delay growth. But disciplined people decide in advance who they are becoming. And once that decision becomes final, their behavior changes. Now listen carefully. Do not underestimate your own potential. You have survived difficult seasons already. You have endured pain already. You have overcome challenges already. That means strength already exists inside you. Now it must be directed, focused, sharpened through discipline. Now hear me deeply. The strongest people are not lucky. They are intentional. Intentional with time, intentional with habits, intentional with focus. Intentional living creates powerful outcomes. Now listen closely. One day people will look at your discipline and call it talent. They will not see the sacrifices, the lonely mornings, the repeated effort, the emotional battles you fought privately. But you will know, and that inner pride matters more than outside applause. Now hear this carefully. Do not chase attention. Chase mastery. Attention fades. Mastery lasts. Now listen deeply. A disciplined man becomes calm because he no longer fears hard work. He trusts his ability to rebuild. That confidence creates peace. Now hear me carefully. The life you want is possible, but it requires a different version of you. A more focused version, a more disciplined version, a more emotionally controlled version. And that version begins now, not next month, now. So stand up mentally, reset your standards, protect your attention, control your habits, and continue building even when nobody sees the progress yet. Because one day, the discipline you practiced in silence will create a life that speaks for itself. Listen to me carefully, because this next level is where excuses die. And most people never reach this point, not because they are incapable, because they are addicted to comfort, addicted to waiting, addicted to blaming, addicted to temporary pleasure that quietly destroys long-term greatness. Now hear me carefully. Every day you delay discipline, you are training weakness. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you are reinforcing limitation, and eventually your habits become your prison. That is why so many people feel stuck, not because life trapped them, because their routines trapped them. Now listen closely. You cannot build a powerful future with weak daily habits. Impossible. Your future is hidden inside your routine. How you wake up, how you think, how you use your time, how you respond to pressure, all of it matters. Now hear me deeply. A weak morning creates a weak day. A distracted morning creates a distracted mind. That is why disciplined people protect their mornings aggressively. Because mornings shape momentum, and momentum shapes identity. Now listen carefully. Stop touching your phone the second you wake up. Stop giving the world access to your attention before you build yourself first. That behavior is weakening your focus, weakening your clarity, weakening your discipline. Now hear me. The first battle every morning is the battle for your attention. Win that battle, and the rest of the day becomes easier. Lose that battle, and distraction controls you all day long. Now listen carefully. Most people wake up reactive, checking notifications, checking messages, checking drama, checking distractions, and before the day even begins, their mind already belongs to the world. That is dangerous, because a distracted mind cannot build a focused life. Now hear this deeply. Protect your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. It does. What you consume daily becomes your mindset eventually. Negative conversations, mindless scrolling, constant entertainment, pointless comparison, all of it shapes your identity slowly. Now listen closely. Your brain is programmable, and every habit is writing code into your future. So ask yourself honestly, what are you programming into your life right now? Discipline or distraction, focus or chaos, execution or excuses? Because repetition becomes personality. Now hear me carefully. The strongest people are not always the most talented. They are the people who learned how to stay focused longer than everybody else. That is why focus is power, real power. Because focused energy creates results. Scattered energy creates frustration. Now listen deeply. You cannot live a powerful life while constantly distracted. Impossible. In the song, distraction destroys momentum, and momentum is everything. Momentum creates belief. Momentum creates confidence. Momentum creates identity. That is why disciplined people protect consistency at all costs. Now hear this carefully. There will be days where motivation disappears completely. Good. Those days reveal whether your discipline is real. Anybody can work when emotions feel high. But who are you when emotions disappear? Who are you when life feels repetitive? Who are you when nobody notices your effort? That is the real test. Now listen closely. Your future is not being built during your exciting moments. It is being built during your boring moments, the quiet mornings, the repetitive workouts, the focused hours nobody sees. That is where greatness is created. Silently. Now hear me deeply. You keep asking, how do I change my life? I will tell you, change what you repeat daily. That's it. Because your life is nothing more than repeated behavior, repeated focus, repeated discipline, repeated standards, or repeated weakness. Now listen carefully. Weak people live emotionally, strong people live intentionally. But there is a difference. Build quietly, improve quietly. Do not announce every plan. Protect your energy and let your results speak later. Now hear me carefully. The strongest transformations happen privately first. Nobody sees the mindset shift immediately. Nobody sees the emotional battles immediately. Nobody sees the lonely discipline immediately. But eventually the internal work becomes visible externally. That is how real growth works. Now listen deeply. You are entering a season where excuses cannot survive anymore. You know too much now. You see your distractions clearly now. You understand the cost of wasted time now. So now responsibility increases. Now hear this carefully. Awareness without action becomes self-destruction. Because deep down, you know what you should be doing. So start doing it. Now listen closely. Your future needs a stronger version of you. A calmer version, a sharper version, a more disciplined version. And that version is built through repetition, not motivation. Repetition. Now hear me deeply. You must become obsessed with alignment. Alignment between your vision and your actions. Because saying you want greatness means nothing if your daily behavior supports weakness. Now listen carefully. The gap between who you are and who you want to become is built through discipline. Nothing else, not luck, not talent, discipline. Now hear this deeply. The world is filled with distracted people. That is why focused people become dangerous. A focused mind learns faster, builds faster, recovers faster, executes faster. Focus multiplies everything. Now listen closely. Stop wasting your mental energy on things you cannot control. Other people's opinions, other people's validation, other people's expectations. None of that builds your future. Your habits do. Now hear me carefully. Your habits are either creating freedom or creating regret. Choose carefully, because years from now, today's choices will become your reality. Now listen deeply. You must stop acting like you have unlimited time. You do not. Life moves quickly. Too quickly. One day becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 year. And distracted people wake up shocked when time disappears. Do not live like that. Now hear this carefully. Move with urgency, not panic. Urgency of somebody who finally understands the value of time. Now listen closely. Every disciplined action sends a message to your mind. I am becoming stronger. And every weak action sends the opposite message. So what message are you repeating daily? Now hear me deeply. You are capable of far more than your comfort zone allows you to see. But comfort hides potential. Pressure reveals it. That is why difficult seasons matter. Now listen carefully. Do not run from challenge. Grow through challenge. Because the version of you you admire is waiting on the other side of discipline. Now hear this deeply. There is power in routine, power in structure, power in repetition, power in consistency. Boring consistency creates extraordinary lives. Remember that. Now listen closely. You are not trying to become perfect. You are trying to become disciplined enough to respect yourself deeply. That changes everything. Now hear me carefully. The man who controls himself controls his future. And self-control is built one decision at a time, one focused hour at a time, one disciplined morning at a time. That is the process. Now listen deeply. There will always be another distraction calling your name. Ignore it, because your future is more valuable than temporary pleasure. Now hear this carefully. The battle was never truly external. The real battle is internal. Against laziness, against inconsistency, against emotional weakness, against distraction. Win that battle and your life changes forever. Now listen closely. Stand up mentally. Take your focus back. Take your discipline back. Take ownership of your habits completely and become the kind of man that your future self will thank you for. Listen to me carefully, because this right here, this is the part nobody teaches you. Everybody talks about success. Very few people talk about the mental war that comes before success. The loneliness, the doubt, the silent pressure, the mornings where you question everything. That is where men are built, not when life is easy. When life becomes heavy. Now hear me carefully. You think discipline is about motivation? No, discipline is about identity under pressure. Who are you when nobody is watching? Who are you when results are invisible? Who are you when effort feels unrewarded? That answer reveals everything. Now listen closely. Most people quit in silence, not publicly, quietly. They slowly stop trying, slowly stop believing, slowly stop pushing themselves, and eventually their dreams die through neglect. Not failure, neglect. Now hear me deeply. A dream without discipline becomes emotional entertainment. It feels inspiring for a moment, but produces nothing. That is why execution matters more than excitement. Excitement fades. Execution builds lives. Now listen carefully. You must become the type of person who moves even when emotions disappear, because emotions are unreliable. Some mornings you will feel unstoppable. Other mornings you will feel empty. But disciplined people understand something powerful. Feelings change, standards stay. That is maturity. Now hear this deeply. Your standards determine your future, not your wishes, not your mood, your standards. What do you tolerate from yourself daily? Weak habits, late excuse, constant distraction, or discipline? Because what you tolerate repeatedly becomes your identity eventually. Now listen closely. The problem is not that people lack potential. The problem is they lack endurance. They stop too soon. They expect visible results too quickly. And when life stops rewarding them immediately, they collapse emotionally. Now hear me carefully. Real growth is invisible at first, like roots under the ground. Nobody sees the process. Nobody applauds the process, but the process is still happening. And one day, the results appear suddenly. That is how transformation works, quietly. Now listen deeply. You cannot judge your future based on your current season. Some seasons are planting seasons. Some seasons are building seasons. Some seasons are painful preparation. Do not confuse preparation with failure. Now hear me. The strongest people you admire were once unknown, uncertain, unrecognized, undervalued, but they stayed disciplined longer than everybody else. That was the difference. Now listen carefully. Consistency is rare because consistency is uncomfortable. People love intensity. Few people love repetition, but repetition changes identity. Daily reading, daily training, daily focus, daily execution. That is what builds greatness, not emotional bursts. Now hear this deeply. You must stop waiting for the world to validate your progress. Validation is dangerous. Because if validation becomes your fuel, silence becomes your weakness, and life will not always clap for you. Sometimes you must build in silence, completely alone. Now listen closely. Can you continue without applause? Can you continue without recognition? Can you continue while nobody notices your effort? That is real discipline. Now hear me carefully. The greatest battles happen internally, against self-doubt, against procrastination, against emotional exhaustion. And the dangerous part is nobody sees those battles. So people assume you are fine. But internally, you are fighting for your future. Now listen deeply. You need stronger self-talk. Stop speaking weakness into your life. Stop constantly repeating, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I can't do this. Your mind is listening. And repeated thoughts become beliefs. Now hear me carefully. Powerful people train their mindset intentionally. They speak with purpose. They think with purpose, because thoughts shape behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. Now listen closely. Every time you complain without action, you weaken yourself. But every time you take responsibility, you strengthen yourself. Responsibility creates power. Excuses create weakness. That is why disciplined people own everything, even their mistakes. Now hear this deeply. Growth requires brutal honesty, not emotional honesty. Brutal honesty. Honesty about your habits, your discipline, your wasted time, your distractions. Because until you tell yourself the truth, nothing changes. Now listen carefully. A lot of people want transformation without confrontation. Impossible. You must confront the habits destroying your future. Confront the laziness. Confront the inconsistency. Confront the emotional dependency. That confrontation is painful, but necessary. Now hear me deeply. You do not need a new personality to change your life. You need new standards. Higher standards, stronger routines, better discipline. That changes everything. Now listen closely. Your environment matters more than motivation. If your environment constantly distracts you, your focus weakens. If your environment rewards laziness, your standards drop. So protect your environment carefully. Protect your peace carefully. Protect your attention aggressively. Now hear me carefully. Attention is life force. Whatever controls your attention, controls your direction. That is why distraction is so dangerous. Because distraction steals years quietly. Now listen deeply. 1 hour wasted daily becomes massive regret over time. That is why disciplined people value time differently. They understand something most people ignore. Time is not money. Time is life. Now hear this carefully. You are either investing your life or spending it carelessly. Every scroll, every excuse, every delay, it all costs something. Now listen closely. Most people do not realize how powerful they could become because they never stayed disciplined long enough to find out. That should wake you up. Now hear me deeply. There is another version of you waiting. A focused version, a healthier version, a disciplined version, a mentally stronger version, but that version requires sacrifice, the sacrifice of comfort. Now listen carefully. Comfort is dangerous when it becomes addiction, because comfort kills hunger. Now hear this deeply. You need controlled discomfort in your life. Training, learning, pressure, responsibility. Those things sharpen you. Without challenge, you become mentally soft, and soft minds break under pressure. Now listen closely. Life will test you eventually. Financial pressure, emotional pressure, unexpected setbacks. And in those moments, your habits will either save you or expose you. That is why discipline matters before crisis arrives. Now hear me carefully. Do not wait until life collapses to become serious. Become serious now, before regret arrives. Now listen deeply. Your future self is watching your current decisions, watching your standards, watching your discipline, watching your focus. And one day, your future will reflect exactly what you repeated daily. That truth is powerful. Now hear this carefully. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the most stable, calm under pressure, focused during chaos, disciplined without supervision. That is real strength. Now listen closely. You do not need to prove your growth publicly. Private discipline creates public results eventually. So stop announcing everything. Work silently, build relentlessly, improve consistently. Now hear me deeply. Most people overestimate motivation and underestimate systems. Motivation changes daily, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Now hear me deeply. You already know what needs to change, so stop delaying it. Stop negotiating with excuses. Stop waiting for permission. Start moving. Start building. Start becoming. Start becoming. Now listen closely. The strongest version of you is not far. He is not imaginary. He is not unreachable. He is buried under distraction, and discipline is how you uncover him. Now hear this carefully. One decision can change everything. The decision to stop quitting. The decision to stop delaying. the decision to take control of your attention. That decision is your turning point. Now listen deeply. From this moment, you do not need more information, you need execution. You do not need more motivation, you need consistency. You do not need a perfect plan, you need discipline in motion. Now hear me carefully. Life will not become easier, but you will become stronger, and that is what changes everything. Now listen closely. Build yourself in silence, protect your focus aggressively, eliminate distractions intentionally, and move forward daily even when no one notices. Because one day your results will speak so loudly that your past self will feel like a different person. Now hear this deeply. This is not the end of your story. This is the moment your story finally changes direction. So stand up mentally, reset your standards, and walk forward with discipline as your identity, not tomorrow.